and welcome back to the gaming corner. My name's Twilight,
And I am KG.
and yes, today we're back to playing our life. We are gonna be doing the thingy.
Yeah, we have 3 more left, so we are almost done sub 2.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
yeah,
It's really fast. Kind of.
yeah. So the next one, I believe you get to pick for the next
yeah.
one because I picked Tori.
Yeah. I guess for this one we're gonna do dinner.
All right, dinner.
Yes. Save.
Sunlight shone through the windows as you sat in your living room, your home phone pressed to your ear. Cove was on the other end. It had been shaping up to be an ordinary day like any other until Cove had called unexpectedly. He sounded unusually nervous greeting you. You listened silently as he kept talking, his words stilted. So, I was just wondering, do you want to come over to my house for dinner tonight? The question came out strangely, almost like he'd rehearsed it a few times before. Your eyes widened a little. You hadn't expected this to be the reason behind the call.
Yeah, I'll go. I can't. You kept listening. I'll go. You
I'll
asked,
go.
so I'll go.
Yeah, I'll go.
That's,
It was, huh? Oh. It seemed that Cope still had more to say and you just interrupted him. Oops.
Sorry.
Cool, well... He stumbled for a bit, trying to gather his thoughts again. My mom and dad, they really want you to be there. If your parents don't have a problem with it, they asked me to ask you. You took a moment to think. Dinner at home would be quiet and eventful today. If you wanted, you could go to Cope's instead. Cope spoke up again, breaking your thought train. His voice was softer than before. Also, I want you to be there too. Can you come over, I mean?
Yeah, I can come. I'll have to ask my moms and get back to you. No, I can't make it. Why am I the only one invited? Or did you mean the whole family?
Yeah, I can come.
Yes, let's go.
Yes, we're going. We're going regardless.
Yes.
Thanks, Sheena. I'll let them know when I can. He sounded noticeably relieved by your response. Was you coming over a dinner today that serious? He spoke to you for a little while longer to explain what time to come over and other details, then hung up. And that was that, for now anyway. Soon enough, the sun dipped out into the sky and evening came. It was for you to head over to Cole's house. After letting Elizabeth know that you were leaving, she didn't look away from the TV, just grunted. You made the small journey across the street. You knocked a couple times on the heavy doors to their condo. As you waited for an answer, you found yourself contemplating being a guest while both of Cope's parents were there.
It was exciting. You were apprehensive. The idea made you curious. You didn't think it would be especially interesting. You couldn't say you were thrilled. It was exciting. Or you were curious.
You were curious, yeah, same.
Yes.
You wondered why they decided to invite you out of the blue. Maybe you'd find out later tonight. You didn't get too much time with your thoughts though. The door opened soon enough. Cope's mom, Kyra, stood in the frame, smiling warmly at you.
come on.
Hey, Sheena, welcome. Please come in. She opened the door wider and moved to make room. You stepped inside, allowing her to shut it behind you. Thanks so much for coming over. I know it was kind of last second.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Of course. Just make yourself at home. It's not my home, but I've been given permission to say that.
Hey, Sheena. Welcome to our humble abode.
You jerked your head toward the sound of Mr. Holden's voice. He waved at you from the kitchen, with his back turned with a large spoon in hand.
Hope you're hungry, because I'm whipping up a lot of tasty stuff.
True to his word, you heard something sizzling on the stove. You closed your eyes and inhaled. It smelled spicy and savory. When Mr. Holden's busy and Cove nowhere to be seen, it was just you and Kyra. She
Sorry.
gave you a weary smile. He sure is. Well, I've been barred from cooking the entire time I'm staying here. Can you believe that? She nudged you with an elbow. Mr. Holden scoffed good-naturedly, then spoke from over her shoulder.
You're on vacation, Kyra. You need to accept that already.
She yelled back, amusement obvious on her face and in her tone. People still cook when they're on vacation. Everyone's gotta eat. It's not like I'm some celebrity who can go out every meal or hire a private chef.
Sorry.
Well, in this house, you're a VIP.
Kara smiled and shook her head quietly, then she turned to face you once more.
Well,
Sorry about that, Sheena. Here I was trying to strike up a conversation with you and Cliff just had to butt in.
I don't butt in.
She eyed him, chuckling in disbelief. He wasn't exactly disapproving her point with that. Kara leaned over to whisper to you. It's okay, he likes to be included, but since Clifford insisted on cooking all by himself, he'll have to wait. The two of us can chat. Her next question continued and to be said in a hushed tone just to be safe.
so?
So, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Oh, I'm good. Things are okay. I'm not really sure. You didn't really reply to her question.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear. She opened her mouth to say something more, but some slightly pounding footsteps caught your attention. You checked to see Cope emerge from the hall a few moments later. He might have heard all the commotion and left his room to see what was going on. He quickly took a stock of the situation. His cheeks tinted pink at the sight of you standing in his living room, and his hand came up to rub his arm almost bashfully. Sheena, you made it. Thanks for coming. Cole's voice was unnaturally loud, as though he wouldn't be able to hear him from where you were, only a few feet away.
Hi, Cove. You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. He didn't sound convincing at all. You narrowed your eyes suspiciously, but he didn't call him out on it. If you could talk to him alone tonight, maybe you'd ask him what was going on then. It was when you glanced away from Cove that you spotted his parents watching the two of you interact. Cove noticed their stares, meeting them with narrowed eyes.
So...
Are we having dinner now?
Not yet, bud. I'm still cooking.
Alright, I'm gonna head back to my room. As he turned to leave, he bent his head to the side to face you. You coming? The question was quiet, but you heard it clearly. You smiled pleased that he asked. And nodded in affirmative. Cove turned fully and made his way down the hall. Have fun, you two.
We'll call you when food's ready to go.
With that, you followed after Cove. Two of you made your way down the hall.
It was the first time you were invited to see Cove's room. You had visited Cove's room before, not only rarely. Going over to Cove's room was standard occurrence for you nowadays. Yeah, the last one sounds
that
like
makes sense. It would be weird for us not to have gone into his room before.
Yeah.
I don't know, since like we've known each other for years now, so
Yeah. We're best buddies. Or
Yeah.
well, more than that, I guess.
Cove got to the door first. Opening it and stepping inside, you joined him. There was a man on the floor in front of the door. As you stepped over the threshold in his room, you felt the crunch of the sand beneath your feet. The sensation was nothing new to you, of course. Cove constantly came back to his room covered in sand, not bothering to clean himself off at the front door, and got all over his personal space. That's just how he was, a bit of a mess. You hadn't heard Mr. Holden scold him for it, not like your moms would have done it. Not like your moms would have if you'd done it. You can say whatever you want. Cove himself took a seat on the edge of the large bed, looking like the picture in comfort, and left you to the side.
You didn't sit anywhere. You sat down on the chair. You sat next to Cove on his bed.
You're sitting
Yes.
next to Cove.
On his
Cove.
bed.
Cove. As soon as you sat next to him, Cove grew tense. His back went stiff and he ducked his head away. He tried to hide his trembling smile.
Oh my god.
He said it under his breath as if he didn't want you to hear it. He obviously did, and easily, since you were right beside him.
You were nervous about that. You smiled comfortingly at him. You chuckled over it. You felt very charmed by his reaction. Yeah, the last one.
Last one. Yep. Yeah. He raised his eyebrows. You both kept noticing the other's every move.
You only shrug back. It's nothing, don't worry about it. You're like an open book, you know that? You're such a sweet guy, Cove. You're adorable. You're adorable, Cove. I guess.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think so.
Last one?
Yeah.
Alright, we'll go
You're
last one again.
adorable.
What?
So
Clearly he
cute.
wasn't expecting the compliment. Somehow his flush grew worse, spreading all the way down to his neck. He fumbled for words. I'm not that... He gripped the blanket underneath him and searched for something more to say. Did you see my fish? I've got some in the tank right there. Hope threw both his hands in front of him to direct your eyes towards his pets. He was trying poorly to change the subject, that much was clear. He decided to show him mercy and allowed it. You started to watch the bright fish swim. There were a bunch of them floating in to and fro in the open space. They stood out the sparkling against the green aquarium plants.
How long have you had those fish?
I guess.
My dad bought them for me not long after I moved here. I guess it's been years now.
Wow, that's a long time.
He peered carefully into the tank. The fish looked to be doing well. He must take good care of them. Most of them were small, but there were one especially big one.
What are their names?
I don't name them. Well, not really. You lifted an eyebrow at that. He continued to explain the explanation sheepishly.
I mean,
Mostly, I just call them things based on what they look like. Squirt for a small one, tangerine for the really orange one, that sort of thing. I've had a lot of fish and I'm not good with coming up with names.
You found that funny, you found that surprising, you found that relatable. Relatable.
Relatable. You didn't have any pets, but you always had trouble naming your stuffed animals or whatever else. It was much of a hard choice. Oh, a couple of them have other type of names. He pointed at the small, orangish red fish. It was minding his own business away from the others. My dad named her Dreamcatcher, and that other one's Mark. Mom came up with that one. Phil smiled to himself, his eyes reflecting the glow from the tank.
You let other people name your fish?
it's nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's cute.
He turned to you, tilting his head to the side. There was a considering look on his face. Do you want to name one?
Yes, I do! Can I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do.
let's do it.
His smile grew a little at your enthusiasm. Cool. There's a few who don't have names right now, the new ones. You can pick whichever you want to name. He pointed each of the recent acquisitions out to you. The first was the smallest fish in the tank. It was completely orange, zipped all over the place, running laps around the others. The second was slightly bigger, red. Its tail was dotted in black with black spots, which resembled freckles. The last was a big one. It was multicolored scales gripped under a bright red light of the tank, and it slowly made across and fast expand. You went with
The biggest fish.
I'm like yawning a lot. The biggest fish.
Yes.
Yes, the biggest fish. Cove only nodded at your answer, waiting for you to decide on a suitable name. Watch the fish you chose closely. As you did, a name eventually came to you.
Sheena Jr. Let's see.
Frank.
Gil, Sunbeam, Sheena, or Cove? We're naming it Sheena.
Sheena.
Yes. Let's do that.
Okay, whatever.
Sheena
Fine.
Jr.
Sheena. Cove laughed unreservedly at your choice. It was affectionate rather than insulting. What? You can't name it after yourself?
Why not?
Because I'm not gonna call it, oh, my fish, that.
But you still said I could pick it.
Bob shook his head with a bent smile. I'll call them Junior. You can still call them Sheena. It seems like a good enough compromise, so you agreed. Cove nodded, satisfied. Alright, it's Sheena. With that, his attention moved onto you to the tank. He peered fondly at it and at its inhabitants. You smiled proudly at Sheena as it swam around on the tendrils of the plant, disappearing and reappearing soon after. You noticed that then, and Cove was sitting closer to you than he was before. You must have scooted over at some point during the conversation. Just close, your shoulders were almost brushing against each other. Your heartbeat picked up a little at the realization.
You know, I'm not allowed to have pets in my house, not even a fish.
The corner of Cove's lips turned down at that. That doesn't sound fair. It's not like a fish would make a mess of your house or anything. You just gotta take care of their tank and feed them, and then they'll be okay.
Right? My parents can be strict over the weirdest things sometimes. I don't mind it too much. I get it. I get it.
I get it.
They don't want to worry about more lives than the two they're already raising. That's what they say about it.
I never thought of it like that before. Your current conversation brought to mind of a memory years ago. You have launched into it without warning, earning you a brief confused look from Cove.
One time, Elizabeth came back from playing at the beach and just shut herself in her room. She only came down for food and then she ran back upstairs straight after. It was kind of weird. My moms didn't think much of it at first though. But then that night, Ma went to her room to say goodnight and started screaming. Mom and I ran over to see what happened. Lizzie had just had this huge lizard in her arms. Oh.
Cove's eyebrows rose at that and he leaned forward in interest.
Really?
A lizard? Where did that come from?
Elizabeth said she saw it half buried in the sand and didn't know what it was. Then she pulled it out and got the answer, so she brought it home. She hid the lizard in her room for most of the day because she wanted to keep it. Mom and Ma were not happy. They worried about putting it out during what?
Oh.
Wait, putting out what?
Okay.
Oh wait,
There you go.
I'm so confused. Wait, go
There
back.
you go. There you go.
Hey,
There you
wait.
go.
Oh, Mom and Ma were not happy. They worried about putting it out during night, but she was going to have to let it go in the morning. Lizzie was really upset. She did bring it back to the beach eventually, but she wouldn't talk to anyone for days. When she did get over it, it was almost like it never happened.
You left thinking back at the time. Elizabeth had been always stubborn, but when she was younger, she forgot grudges quickly. Now it wasn't so easily. Cove had been quiet for most of the story, apart from the reveal of the lizard. He had a thoughtful look on his face. I can't even imagine what it'd be like to have a sibling. He gave a serious thought of the same before you told him.
It's fun. There are ups and downs. You're lucky to be an only child. It's a nice idea in general, but my sister is Elizabeth. I don't know how to explain what it's like.
It's nice in general, but my sister is Elizabeth. So.
I don't know. But there are ups and downs. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I agree. There are ups and downs.
Yes. It's fun to have her there when she wants to be there, but now Elizabeth barely feels like hanging out with me.
Cove's lips pursed his lips at the words, considering them quietly for a while.
Cool.
That's interesting, I think. Your family's really cool. You didn't have much else to say, though while on topic of your family, you consider your relationship with your moms too.
They were absolutely the best. You got along with your moms. You thought your moms were okay. You found your moms to be difficult to deal with. They
Moms
were
are the best.
okay. Oh, you get along with your moms?
Like the moms are the best, honestly. I'm like
they're pretty good.
they're the best. So yeah. I guess we're getting along with them.
Yeah, they're like they're better. They're great parents.
They're
That's all I
great
have to
parents in regard to like any other like parents in like games and such. Honestly. You had disagreements with them, but at the end of the day, you loved them and they loved you, and that what really mattered. Well, what want about them, but
What?
at least your mom's never.
Say what you want?
say what you want about them, but at least your mom's never tried to pay someone to be your friend. That prompted you to look over at Cove. You still probably didn't know what had happened. You done Mr. Holden mention it, but you never had. You wondered if you should tell them. It was a long time ago, but you were keeping a secret from Cove.
We are not gonna tell him yet.
I don't know.
You didn't tell him it was a bad time. You didn't tell him you weren't sure how he'd react. You didn't tell him secrets are meant to be kept. You didn't tell him. You just didn't want to have that talk with Cove. You decided to tell him. No, we're not gonna talk about it yet. Nah,
You wanna randomize it?
no.
You know,
You didn't tell him. Just don't have.
I
We're
kind of
not
want
gonna
to
talk
tell
about it.
him, though.
No, not yet.
Like,
No, not yet.
I want to
No.
tell him. Oh my god.
No, not yet. Not yet.
I don't know.
Not yet.
I don't know,
You can't.
dude.
No, not yet. Not yet.
We can't make a decision, so
Oh my goodness.
we're gonna have to randomize it.
Fine. I say no.
Shit. You decide to tell.
Why? Oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
What does the randomizer like to do? Oh my god.
You took a deep breath, settling breath to prepare yourself for the conversation. Now you just have to figure out how to tell him.
Cove, I have something important to tell you. Hey, you want to know something crazy? Don't get mad about this, but oh my god. Oh my god. I don't know.
Gonna randomize this one.
I mean, there's no point.
There's no point.
Fine.
So it's 1
do
to
it.
3. It's 3. Please don't get mad about this, but
What?
Cove's eyes furrowed at your uncomfortable
Awkward.
tone. He turned to you to give you his full attention.
Oh my god.
About what? You stared into his bright ocean eyes.
He's too precious. I can't. This is hard. You chicken out. Never mind. Let's
You told
chicken
him
out.
the truth.
Let's do
Oh
it.
my god, no.
Chicken out now.
Oh god.
I'm chickening out, man.
I
No.
kind of just want to go all out, dude. We're already at this
What?
point.
At 13, man. No.
I always did this. I always did this, like, whenever I, like, replay the game. I always tell him the truth.
I didn't. I just.
I didn't tell him when he was, like,
older.
I didn't tell him when we were, like, freaking 8 or something.
I didn't tell him until we were 18.
I told him
And
now.
he
So
was finding it. But oh gosh.
oh god.
I never picked this. It's just too awkward.
I'm gonna randomize it. So
Oh my god.
you're gonna hate it. You told him the truth.
What the heck, randomizer?
You told him the truth.
This is too awkward. This was way back when you moved here, and the first time I met your dad, actually. Oh my god. Your dad, he offered to give me $20 to be friends with you. Oh my god.
Both sat still, uncharacteristically. There was an unreadable expression on his face. His eyes seemed to look through you, and you didn't know what to do next. Then, without saying a word, Cove stood up from his bed in a single motion, and he just bolted right out of the room.
Really?
For a moment, you didn't move a muscle. You were in shock. This was... Oh no. Your senses quickly came back, and you shot into the hall after
Oh
him.
my god, this is so weird. I don't know. Cove! Oh my goodness.
There was no response to your call.
Of course.
You could see Cove
awkward.
down the hall. He had already sprinted back into the living room.
my
His
God.
arms were stalking the sides with his hands tightly balled into fists. He might have
Oh my God.
been facing you, but you didn't see his face to know how he felt. Cove was furious. His parents were nearly finished setting up the table. They greeted him none the wiser of what was about to happen.
Huh?
Hey, what's up? When did you start running the house?
Oh, man, this is too awkward. Are you that famished?
You were able to catch up in full and stand near Cove. The parents' words didn't even register in his ears. The child was wholly focused on another matter. He was practically shaking. Cove took one more step and glared up at his father's face. You paid Sheena to be friends with me? Mr. Holden's face froze. He looked like a helpless deer caught in headlights.
Seriously?
Oh
Clifford, are you
this is so
serious?
awkward.
He whipped his head towards Kyra, his eyes wide and blinking rapidly.
Oh my goodness. It was only one time.
What?
I can't. That's
not the point, Mr. Holden. That mission enticed an aghast expression from his ex-wife. Mr. Holden raised his hand to gesture defensively.
It seemed like a good idea that when it happened.
When it happened.
Yeah,
She covered her eyes with one hand. It was clear her patience was frayed, but she was not so shocked anymore. Mr. Holden bowed his head, rubbing the back of his neck guiltily.
Awkward.
The fact that she accepted this as something he'd do easily seemed to be the most crushing part. Cole just stood there, fuming silently during their little aside. His eyebrows frowned painfully and his eyes trembled.
Oh man. It felt so bad for Cove. You felt so bad for Mr. Holden. You felt so bad for Kyra. You felt so bad for yourself. You felt so bad for everybody. You thought this was uncomfortable. Yes, the last one. It's very uncomfortable.
Okay, it's uncomfortable. You tried not to get in the way. Maybe the way the others would forget you, and even in the room, they were pretty distracted. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, but must have been only minutes, the tense silence was broken by Cove. I don't want to stay here.
Oh my
That
goodness.
immediately caught his parents' attention. They turned to him with twin expressions of worry.
Hey, wait a minute. Bud, you don't have to do that.
It's alright.
They're still your bro. We'll stay out of your way, I promise. Where would you even go this time of day? It's almost night.
No!
I can stay with Sheena.
Oh my
Ran
god!
out of the house without waiting for another response. He jumped out the door, slammed close behind him.
Something. Well, this is so awkward. I can't. You just stood there, shocked.
I would go after Cove,
Oh,
personally.
yes, I
Yeah.
guess so.
Yes,
I would be too shocked.
I would go after Cove, honestly, because, like, come on. Cove just ran out on his parents.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Still too awkward. I mean, we did this to ourselves. I'd suggest we did it. Because he's 13.
I feel like he would have
Emotions
known.
run
He
high.
should have known at least early on, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought, since he gets older, he matures and, he'll find it funny afterwards because it's been years later. I thought that would be a good idea.
Yeah, but like still, I feel like it's better for him to know now rather than keeping this a secret. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, but I don't know. I
but-
did it later and he was cool about it.
Like,
So
no
yeah.
spoilers,
I
but
don't
whatever.
know. Wait, yeah.
Anyways, let's go after him. You didn't even take the time to say something to his stunned parents. You ran after Cove, shutting the door more softly behind you as you left. You spotted him easily. Cove hadn't made it far. He just reached the middle of the
13
road.
years old, man. Could you stop for a second? Are you okay? You follow. Can you stop for your second, please?
Yeah, can you stop for a second? You might as well have said nothing. Cove didn't look
Yes,
back, nor did he answer you. Cove stomped forward, crossed the street without hesitance toward your house. It didn't take long to approach the front door. You left it unlocked, so he yanked it open and went inside of you. and tied with you.
Wow!
By the night fully came.
Oh.
The two of you stood intensely together in the middle of your living room. The night hadn't really gone as you imagined it would. At least Elizabeth wasn't around. Your moms were out. You had no idea how you would explain the situation to them, and you weren't sure Cobb wouldn't have been up for that. He watched you from distance. His expression wasn't hostile, but not exactly welcoming either.
Are you okay? What do you want to do now? I'm really sorry, Cobb. You did the right thing by leaving. Do you want to do this? You said nothing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Cobb.
I'm sorry, Cobb. Cobb shifted his back
This is ridiculous.
to you. Then he crossed his arms over his chest.
Are you mad at me?
To your surprise, he actually responded. What? No.
It's okay.
I wish I'd known before, but I guess there's never really a good time to bring up something like that. You're not the one who did anything. His tone was clipped and insulting, though it was now fully clear that none of the negativity was towards you. And we're actually friends, aren't we? It doesn't matter if you took it or not. You wouldn't pretend for years just because of Dad's money. You nodded your head furiously at that. If there was one thing you didn't want in this revelation to do, it was to weaken your relationship.
Of course we're friends.
Cobb seemed to appreciate your reassurance.
This is an overreaction, though.
The fur on his brow was eased a little. Yeah, we are. I'm definitely not mad at you. I should thank you for not letting him get to you, and for telling me it happened. My dad never would have. He was always like that. He does things. He doesn't ask or tell me about it or anything. He threw his arms out, his features twisted in frustration. There was already a thing with my mom coming to stay for us for the summer out of nowhere, and that was supposed to be a surprise, and I'd find out about it. Who knows what other things he's done that I've never heard of? Does he even know how to think about someone else might actually want? He paused to take a panting breath and scowling.
Go on. He continued to listen quietly. I'm sorry you have to deal with all that. You're right. That's terrible. It could be worse. Even if it didn't go well, your dad's only trying to make you happy. The last one.
The last one. Definitely the last one.
I mean, yeah, this is your choice here.
Hey, listen, it was a randomizer.
Well,
his eyes narrowed. Cobb, you're right. The worst part is, I know he doesn't do stuff for himself. He does things because he wants to make people happy. Cobb blinks rapidly. You noticed tears were gathering in his eyes when he spoke again. His voice was heavy with emotion. But he just makes everything worse, and when he's really sorry, it's like your fault for not being happy and that he was at least trying. And one of his plans and always being so pushy did change things.
What things?
Cobb finally met your gaze, his bottom lip trembling. You realized that he was referring to you and him. What if he made you stay away from me before we even got to know each other? His voice cracked as he forced himself to speak through the tears and began to fall earnest. He did everything he could to say it, but the words were barely a whisper.
Sheena,
you were the best thing about coming here. Cobb was honestly terrified at the idea that there was a chance the two of you might have not what you do.
You stepped forward and rested a hand on. You hugged him. You wiped his tears.
I would hug him. I would hug him.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hug him. Let's hug the poor boy. Cobb rarely accepted the embrace. He wrapped his arms around. Cobb rarely accepted the embrace. He wrapped his arms around you in return. The grip was firm.
I'm really glad we got to be friends. Please don't cry. Hey, don't worry about it, alright? You didn't need to say anything. I wouldn't have let anything your dad or anyone else did mess things up. What?
Yeah,
what?
that's awkward. That's an awkward grammar.
Did mess things up? I don't know. Don't worry about it, alright?
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it. His features crumbled at your words. You couldn't tell exactly what his expression was, but it seemed a mix between relief and sorrow. He sniffled. I'll try not to. He remained like that for just a little while. Then he scrambled his eyes back with the back of one hand, his gaze turned away from you, growing distant. He's like that with my mom too. The anger had just begun to release bubble back to the surface. Dad wants to make people happy, but he doesn't. The words landed scathingly hard. You were certain it'd crush Mr. Holden if he heard them. You never knew much about his parents' relationship, but you thought you understood a bit better now.
I'm really sorry. You don't actually mean what you're saying. Do you hate your dad? I'm here for you. You felt bad that things were so hard for Cove and his dad. You didn't say anything.
You don't actually mean what you're saying, because
I don't know.
I don't know, because like I don't
would
want
ask
to.
though.
I would ask. Oh, I feel
You
like
hate your dad? I would like to ask that question. An honest one, please.
okay, fine.
You know,
do you
It's
hate your
just a
dad?
question. Yeah, it's just a
Cove
question.
just looked at the ground. As the two of you stood by quiet, a thought came to your mind, abrupt and sudden.
What about your fish? Or
Yeah,
I remember that day when it happened. Or
Okay,
yeah, just like what about your fish? Tell me.
What about your fish? You couldn't forget earlier that night the way Cove spoke about them, how he watched them, how he cared for them.
That was something special that your dad did for you. It's been really important to you for a long time, right? He can make you happy.
Cove's eyes opened a little wider. A fragile smile took over so slightly at his lips. It was obvious Cove didn't want to think about his dad that way, but it was also hard not to right now. He must have conflicted over where to go from here.
Your dad still needs to stop being so forceful, though. You might feel better than you do if you tried to make up with your dad. You guys really need to learn how to communicate. I'll be on your side no matter what you do about your dad. You stay quiet. Well, you might feel better if you
Better to make up with, yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well make, yeah.
Yeah, you need to talk to your dad about it.
Yeah. Cove frowned thoughtfully. He didn't say anything, but you had a feeling he was taking what you said into consideration. I'm going back home. His face was set in determination. There was no way you could tell him to do anything else, even if you wanted, so you only nodded.
I'm sorry.
Thanks, Gina. I'm sorry about all this.
Can I come with you?
Wait,
Yeah,
goodbye.
let's
I want to come with
go
him.
with you.
Let's go with him.
Yeah, this whole
Why
situation is
wouldn't you
just
go?
too
You smiled
messy.
lightly.
Just checking.
Cove nodded and headed outside. You followed behind him. Once again, the two of you made your way across the street towards his house. He didn't pause at the door. He just opened it wide and went in. Cove's parents were sitting at the table, their heads bowed in silence in between them. They snapped over at the sound of the door and relieved to see Cove in return. Mr. Holden stood up so suddenly his chair squeaked across the floor.
Cove?
Aww.
Kyra got out of her chair as well, but less dramatic.
Aww.
How are you feeling, baby? I wanted to talk to you. His parents looked over him, their features soft. Cove instead snuck a glance at you.
You were glad you could be here for him. You suddenly felt like you shouldn't be there. The first one.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here for him. You stared back solidly, hoping that you would convey your support with your eyes. It must have worked because Cove stood up a bit straighter. Cove then fully faced his parents. Mr. Holden stepped forward cautiously, his expression twisting in dismay.
I am so sorry. I should never have done something so stupid.
It's okay.
It really isn't. That was a boneheaded move, if ever there was one. I was bribing an actual child.
Hey, at least he's like, at least he's admitting it, you know? At least he's admitting it.
I know, but it's really funny. I never even met before that date.
Oh my god. Cove almost cracked a smile, though he quickly regained his composure. And it isn't, but I want things to be okay anyway.
I'm sorry.
Kyrie placed a hand on Mr. Holden's shoulder. Your dad doesn't believe there is something wrong with you or that you can't make your own friends. He can explain.
I know.
I know that why Dad did it. He wanted me to be happy, and that's all. He didn't think it would be like this. It was an accident. Kara sighed heavily. A sad smile appeared on her lips. You're very grown up, Cove. Mr. Holden brought up his hands against his forehead and began to pace around the room. He didn't know what to do with himself. He turned back to face Cove and Kyra. He looked solemn than you ever seen him.
I'm not going to do it again. I haven't done it again.
You haven't tried to bribe more people or haven't continued to step over the line without registering it?
Both. Ah.
He let out a heavy breath before shrinking down a little. It was impressive because he was pretty tall.
I'm trying.
I don't know, but I don't think so.
Cove's throat bobbled as he swallowed thickly. He clearly looked like he was trying to gather up all his courage. When he spoke up, his voice was small but firm. You invited Mom here. His dad's eyes widened. Cove was ready to have a talk he had put off before. You didn't ask me if I wanted things to be like this with both of you together just for a little while. Mr. Holden's hand slowly returned to his forehead. He was stunned, as if someone had just hit him.
I did it again. And I didn't even notice. Wow. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just do something right? Oh my god, don't beat yourself up, please! Yeah, this is why I
No, Mr. Holden. At least Cove seemed relieved that he was able to say what he felt. He knew just how long he'd been holding that in. It was quiet for a long stretch. Mr. Holden had sat down in a chair. His shoulders drooped and his head in his hands. He looked to Cove. He'd been watching his dad and how gently he was struggling with what he'd been told. Cove glanced down at the ground, then looked back at his dad. I'm not angry anymore. Slowly Mr. Holden met his son's eyes. I can try to talk to you about things, and what I feel about stuff. I stopped saying that to you since everything happened. I didn't want to talk to you, but you won't have to guess if you know. Mr. Holden broke eye contact at Dad, shaking his head.
God.
My child shouldn't have to take care of me. You shouldn't have to make up for my shortcomings, Cove. I can fix things. I can still change.
After having spoke something out of outburst, Mr. Holden turned his face away and spoke more guardedly.
Besides, I'm used to that already. I might not get it right, but not a damn thing would happen in what's left of this family if I wasn't making the effort. It's always me. What's one more thing to manage?
Dad.
I see.
You're right, Cliff, I know. But I don't think Cove wants to take care of you. He just wants to understand. And he wants his dad to understand too. That's what matters, isn't it? It was still as Mr. Holden digested what Kyra said. He stared down his empty hands held out in front of him. When he looked at Cove again, tiny tears glimmered in the corners of his eyes. He got up and crossed the room to his son. Cove didn't move or look away as he approached. Mr. Holden set his hands on Cove's shoulders. The touch much firm. He furrowed his eyebrows.
But you and I are going to talk about every single thought that ever pops into our heads for the rest of your life.
He shook Cove forward and back a bit, tears slipping down Cove's cheeks, but he was smiling.
What?
No, I don't want that. Mr. Holden began to smile too. It drummed at the corners, but it was genuine.
I'm afraid it's the only way.
Kyra chuckled even as she blinked away her own tears. Mr. Holden turned towards her. You better not be... Oh wait, no, it's you. Sorry.
You better not be thinking you can get away from this, Kyra. The same is gonna apply to you.
You can't! He let go of Cove with one hand while he placed another arm around Cove's shoulders, then faced Kyra.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes I can.
continued to talk as he walked in her direction, bringing Cove along with him. Then father and son were standing in front of her. Mr. Holland put his other arm around her. Now he had both of them in his arms. Aww. This is so nice.
Yeah, it's really cute. If you think the ideas that I actually go with are bad, you two are going to be amazed by the thoughts I decided against all on my own.
Kyra drugly cringed at the concept. Cove smiled tearfully at his parents. Thanks, Dad.
I'm so glad.
Thank you, son. But hey, you know what I'm thinking now?
Cole wiped his face with the back of his hand and shook his head. God, no, you're an incomprehensible maniac. There's a whole laugh, but not disputing her words.
I'm thinking we should eat that dinner I painstakingly made. It's salvageable, just gotta heat it back up.
Kara sighed in an exaggeratedly
Can
relief.
do.
That we can manage, right, Cove? Yeah.
Great! We're making progress already.
Well,
Though I don't even know how I'm going to start making this up to. Gina carrying that secret for all this time must have been quite the burden to bear. Plus, she didn't actually get any money out of the deal. She didn't take the 20. I'm not mad about it or anything. It was a hard time for your family. Either way, I or we will work on it. Okay.
Cove ducked his head and spoke towards you. There was a little tiny smile on his face. Do you still want to stay for dinner still?
I'd love to.
Mr. Holden finally let go of his family. Kyra patted him on the back with a content and sighed. You're very good boys. I'm so lucky. Cove shyly rubbed his arm while Mr. Holden nervously rubbed his neck. Neither could make eye contact out of bashfulness. In that moment, they really did seem like father and son. Cove's family was nice. You thought to yourself you were glad you got to come over.
Wow.
Yay!
That's so sweet and heartfelt and different, I guess.
It was I think this was I feel like this is one of my favorite moments in step 2 because of how deep this is.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
Very deep.
So
I never went through that, so yeah, I never knew that would be
never
that
went
deep.
through that.
Yeah, because it was too awkward and also he was too young. I just didn't want to expose it yet.
Yeah, okay, fair
then,
enough,
you know.
fair enough. But yeah, we have 2 more to go
Yeah.
before
it's
we
almost
finish off step 2. We're literally almost done.
Yeah.
We're almost done with this moment. And we're almost done with the step. But yeah. Anyways,
Great
so
one.
yeah. Thank you guys for watching the video, and if you want to support GB Patch Games, links to our social media will be below, and where you can get the game, buy the DLC, and if you want to support her more, you can support her on Patreon as well. And yeah, we'll see you next time for the next video. Bye.
Bye.